Like you'll feel that it's a very felt process, and you can feel the painting not moving anywhere anymore, and you've kind of locked yourself into something from whatever you've done. And it took me a while to realise this, but you have to be really brave and just sacrifice or paint over large sections. My name's Stef. I'm an artist working in Bulu, Western Australia, and I'm an expressionist painter. I feel like I use paint like a weapon to understand my place in the world and the go between myself and what's happening for me personally and my art practice as well. I started painting when I was about 8 years old, but I was always a very creative kid and wanting to create other worlds. And I think my practice now, I've come to understand that I'm actually looking at duality a lot. Duality comes up a lot in my work. And at the moment in this current abstract series I'm doing, I've been looking at a lot about control. And I think the only way to understand control is to experience surrender. So I've been practicing that in the studio and seeing where that takes me. And to understand what I mean by that a bit better, it'd be easy for me to tell my story, which is growing up, I always felt like there was a lot of worth put on how I look. And so a lot of validation around my external appearance. And also being supported creatively, but always being told as well that it's not a real job because it's not going to support you financially. And having to wrestle with that and deciding to do art anyway. And so in order to be an artist, I felt that I needed to validate that by being successful and being concerned about whether or not my art was selling. So all of those things sort of create a space of control in you and control that you're putting on your body, control in what you're doing in your art practice and in yourself so that you can be accepted and feel safe. And I think everybody deals with control. Like really we just want to feel safe in the world. And even we have this like little voice in our head that's narrating everything for us and thinking about things because you want to feel okay and you don't want to feel vulnerable. And so I really started to challenge that in my art practice. And I think I really properly started doing that with my last series, which I started in an abstract way because I wanted the freedom of just being, not thinking about the way I was applying the paint and then using it almost like a Rorschach to see what my subconscious found in that and giving some of that critical thinking control over to my subconscious. It allowed me to expand further with that. And even though those pieces still had narrative, it was a very surreal and ambiguous narrative. And I felt like that made it more open to interpretation, which is another thing that I find important. I think art's really just about connecting with other humans and feeling. And I think that the looser you are in something, then the more chance you have at that. And then to come through into this series that I'm doing now is purely abstract. And I made that choice because I felt like it would give me even more freedom to explore that idea. It's very textural, but the process behind it really has been one that just came about naturally, that I didn't think about. And I never have a plan with my work. I like to respond to the moment. And what came out in the initial stages was very structural elements like grid work and big plain blocks of colour or a big structural application of paint. And then I found myself disrupting those and challenging those with fluidity and softness and veils of colour and interweaving those and defining a balance between those. And I think that speaks a lot to my experience of becoming more brave and just being more honest in myself and in my practice and not giving a Yeah, I define success as knowing that you've found something out for yourself in the process of making art. Because I think that something that Kay Tempest wrote actually was something along the lines of, the more attention I place in my particular, the bigger chance I have of reaching you in yours. And I think a win for me would be to look at a body of work and know that it's completely honest, and that there's a lot of myself in there, and that I learned so much in that process. And I think that naturally that creates a more powerful and dynamic piece of art anyway, and to not care about the outcome. Because once something's no longer in the studio and it's out in the world, it's not yours anyway. Everyone's got their own lens that we view through, and things evolve and continue evolving the more people look at it. The challenge of deciding how you're going to express that and communicate that visually, because creativity, really, I'm so passionate about it. It's about connecting with another person and communicating with somebody, and like, how best do you do that? How best do you describe something that's incredibly broad, like I don't know the emotional baggage of being a human being, and put that in one work of art or a series of works of art, you know? For me, I always treat my art like a job, so I show up in every day, even if I am blocked, and I just kind of see what happens, and if nothing's going to happen, I'll just bail. But I think ultimately with any problem, even if it's not art, if you're stuck and you keep looking at the thing, you're never going to get anywhere. You kind of need to look away from it and just have it in your periphery. And I like to think of making art specifically as kind of like baking a cake in your subconscious. Like, if you feel stuck, you can go out and like experience new conversations with different people, watch a movie, read a book, listen to some music, whatever, look at other art, go out in nature, and all of that information is going in there. And then eventually, like when you're trying to find a word that you can't remember, it's like ding, and then the cake's ready and a new idea presents itself to you, and then you know where to go from there. But I think that can often take a bit of time, and so the less pressure you put on yourself, the better it is, because you can't force a creative moment. I think for myself too, something I learned in this abstract series was not a creative block, but because it's a constant dialogue with the painting and a constant dialogue with the version of you that put the last mark down on the painting, you can often get stuck. Like you'll feel that it's a very felt process, and you can feel the painting not moving anywhere anymore, and you've kind of locked yourself into something from whatever you've done. And it took me a while to realize this, but you have to be really brave and just sacrifice or paint over large sections and let go of that fear that you're ruining something that was good, or that you're going to make it worse. It's really just about having courage to just keep forging ahead. And what you're doing when you do that is you're creating yourself another problem to solve, because you're completely free. If I just smash a bunch of orange on this, it's not going to be what it is now. So I have to work with the orange and then turn it into something completely different. And when you do stuff like that, you quite often realize things, or realize a different way of painting that you probably wouldn't have otherwise considered, because you haven't set yourself up for that experience. I think imagination predominantly is just setting yourself up for a series of experiences where you make mistakes and then you learn, and then you'd have another experience and you make mistakes. And with all of that information together, that's what makes you an artist.
So then do you have a painting leading you, or do you lead?
I reckon it's a back and forth. I guess to say that I'm using my subconscious and I'm inadvertently, maybe it is just me and me. And paint is just a tool. I'm just thinking this now. I've never really considered this before. I think, yeah, it is me. It's just me, because I made the decision to put that mark there, or whether it was, a felt unthinking decision or whatever, but I put that there. The paint didn't put itself there. So perhaps it is a dialogue between myself and paint, is just how I'm expressing it. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, you know, like we said, it's back and forth. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a back and forth between a multitude of things. I think that's pretty cool too, how it's kind of like, because there's so many layers in these pieces, when you look at it and you're experiencing it as just one whole thing, it's not like if you're talking to someone or you're reading some words and they're like linear, and then you don't know what you think until you've comprehended it at the end and everything's all gone. But when you are looking at a painting, you're experiencing it as one thing. Like if you looked out your window and saw a sunset, and there's like many, 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 many versions of me in that painting in those layers. So it kind of transcends time, I like to think. It's hard to pick a piece that I'm more proud of. I did think of this one because it's, and none of these are titled yet because I'm still working on them and they're not finished. But this was the first one that I did in this series where I really like, I felt too tight and I was just like just like dumped all the stuff on there, and I found that naturally I was making these like very, very strong grid lines, and it was kind of like me going, you, I'm stuck of being stuck in the same freaking and then from that I was like, oh, like cool, like this is really open now, and like, you know, was just having a play. I think the more that you play, the more sincerity you have in something that you're doing. And then once that's there, you like, you can really move ahead in the layers that you want to do. In terms of artists, there's a whole bunch, but I think in what I've been speaking to, Tracy Emin and Cecily Brown are probably pretty good examples. Their work is so raw and vulnerable and expressive, and it's got so much guts to it. And I just think that's incredible. I also have a major crush on David Lynch. I have a little photo of him up in my studio. He's like my guru. I'm like, David, what should I do? I love his approach to creativity in general, and how it's this surreal otherworldliness that you can immerse yourself in, where things don't have to make complete sense, because that allows more of people's subjectivity to enter the space of the creation. What was the other part of your question? It was like, influences. Looking at other art and music and books and films and stuff. Also, like, I've been doing a bit of a spiritual deep dive into what you mentioned, metaphysical, before. Like, I started doing meditation, and I found in my meditation, probably because I'm a visual thinker and a visual person anyway, I saw a lot of visuals when I would relax my brain, and I found them so intriguing. And it was allowing me to access part of my subconscious that I didn't have access to before. And I would pay attention to those things, even if they were really obscure and seemingly unrelated, and bring them into the studio just to see what would happen. So I find that very inspirational too. In my dreams, I like pay attention to my dreams. Like if I have a really vivid, symbolically charged dream, I will bring that into the studio and see what happened. Because like, why not? Because I wouldn't have come up with it otherwise. Like one of them, there was this like creepy woman who was there to like kill me, and she was offering me knitting that was like a green ball of yarn and an orange ball of yarn, and she was like, had woven them together, but was gonna kill me with the knitting. And I was like, orange and green, well, I would never have done that. Maybe it's gonna blow up in my face because she wanted to kill me, but and another dream that I had was like I was going up in an elevator to a penthouse to be rewarded for having had the courage to paint over an already existing painting in a section with like just a big block of colour. And because I'd had the courage to do that, it was like all of a sudden people were really responding to my work, and I was going up in to the penthouse to meet these people. And I was like, yeah, cool, I need to be brave, and I need to paint over sections in my work. I really just want to expand on what I've already been doing, I guess. I don't really have any plans for like where I see myself externally. Like I don't pretend to think like I'm gonna like make it as an artist. But I was thinking to myself, because you know, being an artist can get really friggin' hard. And I did ask myself once, if somebody had a crystal ball and told you that you were never gonna like have a success out of this, it's just something that you like relentlessly doing every day, would you do it anyway? And I was like, I would. I would still do it every day. So I don't really see myself like getting anywhere in particular. I just really want to keep expanding on what I've done before. I will never make paintings that look the same or about the same thing, because that makes no sense to me. It's like I've explored that part of me now, and I feel like it's integrated, and the paintings are integrated, and I've integrated. And so, like, what am I thinking about now? What things can I like challenge or question outside of myself now that I've done the work here? What else is going on here that I can start thinking about, and how am I going to communicate that to other people so they question it too?